What's flumpin' everybody? My name is Juan Hay, and today I'm coming at you with my first episode of my new series, OU Darkhorses, where I take what I think is an OU mon, or lower, but technically they're all OU, with a lot of potential in Ubers, or at least some, and I kind of lab a set and break it down for you, tell you guys what to think about it, and maybe try and see what's a hidden gem for the tier, and see what could be doing some new work. So today, as you can see right here, we are going to be using Mega Venusaur, discussing Mega Venusaur. Just gonna clear that since that's the same set here. It's a pretty simple mon in OU. It's pretty common, at least from what I can tell it is. It's extremely bulky and has a lot it can do, although this is a little different from a normal OU Mega Venusaur. So the set we've got is especially defensive, and I have Power Whip over Giga Drain or anything like that. There's a good reason for that I'll be explaining as I go over the moves. Chlorophyll, if I'm for some reason against a regular Groudon the turn I'm gonna Mega Evolve, I outspeed it, but there's not really a reason for it. It's just there. I don't need Overgrow. They both suck in Ubers, to be honest. Synthesis is good, reliable recovery. I could run something else over just an actual instant recovery move, but I like having instant recovery. It is very nice to have in Ubers, especially like I know weather might sometimes screw it over since it will be against Kyogre, but it helps it against Groudon since I can potentially just keep restoring my HP a bit, get up to full on a predicted Groudon switch, and then switch out. Toxic, pretty basic, like no guard Toxic from this, so I can catch Giratina O, which is nice in the Shadow Force, or Chaos Ghost, potentially. And it just damage over time. Leech Seed is same thing, damage over time, and heals me. Power Whip over Giga Drain is actually because with the spread I have and the way this is set up, this Power Whip will actually 2-hit KO Primal Kyogre or even max HP, max defense Bull. So that's very nice. It also makes a lot less passive than Giga Drain would be. So for the EV spread, we've got 248 HP, 60 attack, and 200 defense, and we've got Careful. You could run 252 over 248 since it can't be Toxic stalled, but it changes roles a little bit. It's pretty much, it doesn't matter. This EV spread is set up to 1, just barely guarantee the 2-hit KO with Power Whip on Primal Kyogre, and 2, guaranteed not be able to be 2-hit KO'd by Xerneas, a 252 special attack, +2 modest. Xerneas cannot 2-hit KO with any move that is not Psyshock, and that will OHKO, but that is very uncommon in the tier because this Pokemon isn't used in Ubers, rather. And while we can't necessarily do anything back immediately, we do have the ability to Leech Seed it, Toxic it, and we can actually stall it out if we play it right. It's hard. It's not as necessarily as reliable as Spadef Primal Groudon, where it could potentially come in after it's already Mega Evolved and get off a Paralysis if your opponent does not go for Focus Blast, but it works very well. It resists everything, and it is very bulky, and in general this is just a very good special tank. Not necessarily a wall. It doesn't wall things per se, but it does tank very well. But physical hits, this is good when invested, but that's not much, and that's not actually a lot of HP at all. So physical hits will wear it down incredibly quickly, same with hazards, and Primal Groudon basically forces this out immediately. There's nothing, even Lava Plume doesn't get tanked. It's just you don't stand against Primal Groudon. But with Toxic and Leech Seed, we can stall out special attackers for the most part. The only thing that'll be forcing us out is Mewtwo. And that's mainly because of Psy Strike hitting our physical defense and making us cry. It's just not fun. So this can check most Xerneas. If they're lacking Psyshock, it checks the Xerneas. It can check Lugia. Obviously Lugia can Whirlwind it out, but it still checks it as long as it's not going to get a sub up first. If it gets up a sub first, then we don't check it, but you know, it's barring that, because they would have to crit repeatedly with Aeroblast to prevent themselves from being stalled out by Toxic and Leech Seed, as well as having Synthesis, because regular Aeroblast and Ice Beam do absolutely zero. This actually checks Arceus Dark unless it gets up to +6, because this is a very good special tank and we can stall it out. Even if we don't get up Toxic, we can Leech Seed it and eventually stall it out. It might take forever though. And we can keep pressuring it with Toxic to force it to refresh more often and waste a lot of PP. Baton Pass Blaziken actually can be checked, or at least threatened, because we can Leech Seed it, so it pass a Leech Seed, and we can also throw out a Toxic, which is not fun for it. And you can do Power Up to actually do some decent chip damage. Support Mega Blaziken, which is basically the same thing, except it runs Swords Dance and Baton Pass, and I really don't like that set. Same thing, Leech Seed and Toxic, as well as not being super bulky. Special Mega Lucario, of course, can do absolutely zero. Mega Diance's Diamond Storm is not appreciated, but it does take quite a lot from Power Whip, and Moonblast and Earth Power do absolutely zero. Primal Kyogre actually gets checked very well by this. I don't remember the exact calcs, but this does do a very good job of checking Primal Kyogre because of the 2-hit KO, as well as not being able to be OHKO'd, period. Blizzard and Ice Beam do... Well, Blizzard does a decent chunk, but Ice Beam does nothing because of Thick Fat, which is our ability after Mega Evolving, which is very key. Unaware Calm Mind Clefable cannot do anything. We can stall it out, and because it's Unaware, not Magic Guard, we can use these two. Lomomola, which isn't as common, but it is used, does not do anything to us at all, period. And finally, this can be a very good check to Palkia. Certain Palkias might be able to get past it, but it's unlikely. But unfortunately, no Pokemon's without its weaknesses, and especially when you're using an Oyumon in Ubers, you're forcing it to try and do something more than it's really going to be able to do. It's going to have a lot of checks or hard counters, and in this case, it's more so hard counters than checks. Latios, Primal Groudon, Mewtwo, all forms, X, Y, and regular. Skarmory potentially can be a counter to it. Mega Salamence, Rayquaza, and Ho-Oh are all hard counters to this set. The latter few, Mega Salamence, Rayquaza, and Ho-Oh, just destroy it. Bulky DD Mega Salamence, the only thing we can do to it is Leech Seed it, because it will be running Refresh. Rayquaza can easily OHKO, Mega Salamence can OHKO, probably without a boost, to be honest, Double Edge easily. Ho-Oh can OHKO, as long as it just clicks Brave Bird. Latios and Latios with Soldew. Psyshock will OHKO easily. Primal Groudon just hard counters everything we can do. Skarmory's a little bit closer to being a check, but still, if it has Brave Bird or Drill Peck, it will not be in our favor. And finally, Deoxys Attack and Chansey and Blissey are checks, although I wouldn't quite say counters. Deoxys Attack, because we can catch it with a Power Whip potential and switch in, and if it has Focus Sash, I don't believe Psycho Boost OHKOs. I could be wrong, but if it has a Life Orb and we catch it with a Power Whip on the Switch, it's an OHKO, so that's good. And Chansey and Blissey can't do anything back because we can't be Toxic Stalled, and because we can Leech Seed them, and it becomes a massive stall war. But that's pretty much this Venusaur. Overall, I'd say probably rate it viability-wise on a scale of 1 to 10. Probably about a 5. So other mons in the Ubers tier already that I would rate at that point, I'd rate it around the same as things like Aegislash and Arceus Ground, Arceus Poison, some things that are a little less common, but Arceus Ground is a little bit better, but you know what I mean. I would rate other things I would rate around that level. I think it's actually better than Deoxys Defense. I think it's very much better than Pokemon like Landorus Eye. It can do a lot of work. It's not perfect, but it does what it's supposed to do, be a special tank. It does that very well. And while I don't think it'll fit onto every team, it's something that you should consider giving a try sometime, because, hey, it could potentially surprise your opponent and really might surprise you. I do have a team built to use it, but it's kind of a neck team that I just threw together. It's kind of fun. We got our nice Lobster Island Mega Venusaur. Because we have a checked Xerneas, I don't have to use Spadaf Primal Groudon. I decide, hey, I can use an offensive Primal Groudon, and this is Rock Polish mixed Primal Groudon. Max attack, max speed, a little bit of special attack, which is this 8 instead of 4 just guarantees Okos with Fire Blast on certain things. I believe Spidef Ferrothorn and Spidef Megascizor are those two things. We've got this right here, nice Genesect. The Scarf Pivot Genesect is what I run on almost every team. Sash DD Regular Rayquaza is just a very effective thing. Aqua Tail with Airlock hits Primal Groudon and at +1 guaranteed Okos. Spec Xerneas because I don't want to be running Power Mancy right now with this team. And Sleep Talk to be able to hit Darkrai or through sleep or whatever happens when we sleep. And then we got a physically defensive Alomomola just here to pass gigantic wishes and potentially take hits. It's you run knockoff over Scald because it prevents it from being entirely walled by Primal Groudon, and knocking off items will be slightly more useful than the small burn chance of Scald, and it's just slightly better in Ubers. But I don't really. Last time I recorded this, I didn't really think showing the team off in a battle really did much. I got to show off the Venusaur a bit, but this team isn't really the best for showing off how Venusaur works. It's kind of just thrown together with Venusaur on it. So instead, I suggest you try it for yourself. Throw together a team that doesn't put too much pressure on it, but appreciates having something that can take some pressure off of the team for checking Xerneas and other powerful special attackers. In particular, I think it does pair well with offensive Primal Groudon because they can cover each other's weaknesses very well. The only thing is, opposing Primal Groudon could potentially hurt these two, so have a check to it. But you should have a check to Primal Groudon on every team anyway. It's the most common Pokemon in the tier by far. But I think that's gonna about do it for now. Next video on this channel is most likely either going to be part 2 of laddering, an Ubers breakdown, or a new series with one of my bubbies. Specifically the Jewish casino helicopter, Uncle Ian, Uncle Barrymore. But for now, I guess I'll be ending it off here. See you guys then. Peace!